So on the gold, what do we have here on the gold? On a long-term perspective, let's look at what's happening on the long-term perspective. On the long-term perspective, we go to the daily time frame. It is obvious that price action has been bearish since March this year. We can see our price has continued to find lower lows and lower highs, giving us that bearish momentum perspective. Now that we are at this point in time, we were able to enjoy some profitable moves from here. Last week, we enjoyed this bullish momentum. So what do we expect to see going into the new week? Well, the first thing I want to observe here is this. Since the beginning of the year, price has been very bullish, and not until we saw that breakdown of that bullish trend line in the later part of July, around this area, that changed the perspective of the market into bearish, as we have a breakdown of structure. And so one thing here is there is a likelihood that price is likely going to come back into that structure with the intention of doing a trend continuation to the downside. So how can we take advantage of that move if price is actually going to go into that structure? That is a scenario we want to look at. That's the first scenario. Then the other scenario is this. If we look left, we can see that we have this channel we were able to identify during the course of last week's trading session. You can see, let me wave the trend line so that you can see what I'm talking about. So we have that trend line, and then we have this trend line also, which price has been respecting in the last 2 months. And right now, price is right around the resistance level of this channel here. Here is around this resistance level of this channel here. So there is a likelihood that price could probably reject that level and push price to the downside. So we are going to be looking at two scenarios this morning. So we'll scale down to a much lower time frame where we'll now look at for how we want to take advantage of any opportunity lining up for us this week. Now scaling down to the 1 hour time frame, I guess, okay, on the 1 hour time frame, this is what we see here. This is what we see here on the 1 hour time frame. And remember, this is the bearish trend line I showed you on the daily time frame, and we've already seen a signal. Remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal. We want to wait for confirmation. We already have a breakout of that structure. That's a signal that we are looking out for, and the signal has come in form of an engulfing candle. So now what we want to be waiting for is that price should come back and do a retest of structure. So we're expecting price to come back and do a retest of either the bearish trend line we identified on the daily time frame, which is this dotted line you can see here, or price could go as far as testing the $1,760 level, after which we look out for reversal patterns on lower time frame to join the rally to the upside from this point. So on the gold, we have a very simple setup that if we are very vigilant and conscious, we should be able to take advantage of this move when it finally happens. So we already have a breakout of structure right now. So one thing we want to be doing is to wait for a retest of structure with a reversal pattern on lower time frame that will support a trend continuation to the upside. So let's wait and see how price action is going to play out during the New York session. And one thing I also want to let you know around this point is that if at any point in time during the week, or probably during the New York session today, we see a breakdown of this $1,760 level, just have it in mind that we might be having a shift in direction of price action. And the reason why that is, remember, we have this bearish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. So price is right, that means price is right back below that bearish trend line making this engulfing candle a false breakout. And if we have a breakdown of that 1760 level, remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal, as we want to wait for further confirmation, and the confirmation could come in form of a retest of the $1,760 level, or it could go as far as retesting that bearish trend line one more time to send price crashing to our key level, major key level that we identified last week at 1740, which also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line, here. And around this point is where I will be taking my profits if a sudden momentum happens, as there is a possibility that price could reject this level, and do a reversal pattern to push price to the upside. So these are the scenarios we want to be looking out for here on the Xauusd. So don't get things too complicated. It's not too complicated at all. We already have 1760 level here to hold price action for us. We have a signal already. We want to wait for price to come back and do a retest of this bearish trend line, or it could go as far as testing the 1760 level. Look out for your reversal pattern on lower time frame. It could be your double bottom structure, your inverse head and shoulder pattern. It could be your wedge, pennant, whatever it forms. Look out for that reversal pattern that supports a trend continuation to the upside and join the rally to the upside. It's very simple. Then the other scenario is if we have a breakdown, that is, if price comes down and breaks below the $1,760 level, then we should have it in mind that we might be having a momentum shift. And if that is going to be happening, we want to remain patient and wait for price to come back and do a retest of structure before we join the decline into the $1,740 area. So if we are doing that buy momentum, where will our take profit target be? Well, on a long-term perspective, our take profit target should be as the bullish trend line. Remember, we had a breakdown of the bullish trend line on the daily time frame during the early days of the month of July. We probably might be expecting price to go back to do a retest of that level. But one thing I'll be saying here is that in the meantime, let's just hold the around the $1,780 and the 1,800 area as our take profit target for now. We don't want to be too over ambitious, and if we see structures or patterns supporting a trend continuation from that level, then we will be adding more positions to our trade. So let's, for the meantime, aim at around the 1,780 and the $1,800 area for our take profit target for any bullish potential here on the Xauusd. And if we have a breakdown of 1760 level with an engulfing bearish candle, please be mindful that we might be having a momentum shift, and if that's happening, we wait for a retest of structure to join the decline. So this is my scenario here on the gold.